What we need for this project is we need a drill and a drill bit. The drill bit is the same size as the shank on these pegs that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. They are the 7/32 shanks, and you can see the shape of the peg there. We also need this liquid nails adhesive. We're going to use that to put the pegs into place. We need a 2x4. We are going to take the 2x4. It will be cut into a 9-inch length. So from here to here is 9-inch length. And then from corner to corner, we cut it, which will give us 2 matching cuts. And those will become our kickstands. We pre-cut these. You need a sanding block. The sanding block will be used to just knock the rough edges off of here. If you have a sanding machine, a sander, you can use your sander. Otherwise, use the sanding block. We're going to use some wood glue to help adhere the kickstands, but we're also going to use a nail gun that I didn't picture because it's huge. These bamboo cutting boards from the dollar store, a screwdriver, a pencil, and I'm using 2 different measuring devices, and we'll show you what these are for in just a moment. So the first thing we want to do is to unwrap our cutting boards and unscrew or take off the tip. And what I did was I used the screwdriver and put some tension on this and used it to spin it around. Of course, this is looking silly right now, but it actually works with a smaller screwdriver. But you can just unscrew that. And get the tip off, and you can save this for later. Alright, once you have the tab off, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drill our holes to put our pegs in. So, to determine where we're going to do that, you can make the decision of where you're going to put your pegs on your own. What I chose to do on mine, and what I'm using is I'm using this T-square to start with, and I'm lining it up all along that edge there. And then I'm using this other ruler to make sure that I get the same distance from the end. I chose to come 2 inches from each edge and then 1/2 inch up. So I'm at 1/2 inch right there, and I double check this side to make sure that my line is completely straight and that I haven't shifted. And then I come 2 inches from this side and I put a mark, and then I come 2 inches from the other side and I put a mark. Now I've got to shift the camera, so hold on just a second. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is drill. I've got my 7/32 drill bit in my drill. I've got my marks on my board. I am 2 inches from the edge and 1/2 inch from the end. I'm going to hold this board down on this end and try to hold the drill straight up and down. If you have a drill press, even better, but if not, then just be very careful and go as straight up and down as possible. Well, having a moment there, sorry. Now I chose to just go ahead and go all the way through the board, but you could use, there is something called a drill stop that you can put on here that would stop you from going all the way through your board. Another trick is to put a piece of tape around the drill bit. It won't stop you from going through, but it'll let you know when you've reached the depth you want to go through. But we're just going to go all the way through. Now we're not going to put the pegs on right now. We're going to put those on in a few minutes. We're going to do the kickstand first because it would be a little more difficult to do the kickstand with the pegs already in there. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to be placing our kickstand onto the board, and we want to make sure that we get it centered. So what we're going to do, and we're in the process of making a jig for this to make it much easier so we can just slide it in there. We want to measure, we're at 3 inches there. More than 3 inches, so we need 3 1/4 here. Should give us 3 1/4 here and there, and there. So what I'm going to do, so I don't forget where this is supposed to go now that I've shifted it again, and I'm not worried about this showing because it's going to be painted, so that's not going to matter a whole heck of a lot. And I know it looks a little odd with all the angles and everything, but this is going to be, it'll be just fine when we're done with it. So we'll take a little break. Let me get the nail gun ready. Alrighty, so I have my lines drawn. I don't know if you can see them. And I have my nail gun. Now I just got this nail gun at Harbor Freight, very inexpensive job. I was very careful to get both, one that does both brads and staples so that I can use it for upholstery work as well. And what we're going to do, I also got my little air compressor at Harbor Freight also. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the wood glue and put some wood glue on here, and just be healthy with it because we can wipe off the excess later. And we're going to put this on here, lining it up between our marks. And I did make a little bit of a mess with that, so I'm going to grab a paper towel. Okay, so we have this glued and it's pretty well stuck, and I was wrong. We need to limit the amount of glue, just put a little bit on there. What we're going to do is we're going to stand it up like this, because when you lay it down it just gets wonky about how you're going to do that. And then what you're going to do is take your nail gun and screw or hammer or however you want to do that. I'm using a nail gun, and line that up and squeeze, and then come up a few more inches and squeeze. And that gives us 2 staples in there. We're using staples, and it makes it more secure. We could theoretically come up another inch or so and put another one in there just to make us happy. And now we're ready for the next step. So okay, so we're ready for the next step, which is to put our pegs in. So we'll take our pegs and we will, I've already dipped this one, so we'll put it inside the liquid nails. I just usually make sure that there's some up there. And you don't need a whole lot because it will come out from around the hole. And we're just going to slide that in there. and we'll make sure that it is flush with the back there. And then we'll take a paper towel here in a second and clean that up. And then we do number 2. No jokes. And we'll put that in there like that. And then grab a paper towel. Just like that. And now we wait for it to dry. Ta-da! And now you can paint it once it's dry, obviously. Alright, I wanted to share with you an optional step that you can take. When you use the staples or the screws, you may find that you've got some unsightly indentations. Some of those may be covered up with the paint, and it will probably be okay. But if you don't like the look of that, you can take this wood filler, $6.50 at Home Depot, and a putty knife, $1 at Home Depot. And what we're going to do is, this has a nozzle tip on it, which I've already cut open, and we're just going to put a little bit right there, and really it doesn't need a lot because you're going to scrape most of it off. So this whole thing is going to should do all 50 of our tablets that we're doing with our club. And then we're just going to take the putty knife and make sure that it's filled in and scrape off the excess. Take a paper towel, wipe off the putty knife, and again with this hole down here, we just make sure that it's filled in really well. Scrape off the excess, and now we let it dry. And when you run your finger over it, you can't feel the indentation anymore. Alright, I just wanted to take a moment to show you guys something that my husband made for me. It is a jig, and what it allows me to do is to put the kickstand in here, and then take a board and put it in here, and it will hold everything in place, and I can drill and I can staple everything all at the same time. So for example, will you hand me that board over there? This is a board that I was doing some tests on, and it's a little on the small side, obviously, smaller than the others. So I'm just going to center it there, and then I'm going to take my nail gun and I'll have to touch up the paint over the top of those, which won't be a problem. But now I have a kickstand on the back, so it holds everything in place for me.